Hello and welcome to T1 R GT7 League on a Wednesday night. 14 drivers on the grid today on this Wednesday evening, very warm. In the UK, nice and humid, if you like that kind of stuff. We are in Austria this evening for 20 laps in the GR3 cars, where last week's winner, Panos Nikolaidis, has already got a penalty in qualifying. And we do have a near full grid this evening. I probably would have raced if I didn't have to commentate. But here we are. Everyone in their beautiful GR3 cars today. You've got Rob Cripps in his Mercedes, his Barclay sponsored Mercedes. Philip Rainford in his Porsche. Macaulay Beard in his Mazda. Crystal in his dubious Lightning McQueen themed Porsche. Paul Hutchinson in his Beetle. He's been here all season long in the same sponsors and decals as we see Matthew going out there a mile off the track or lagging off the track. Matthew Wrightson does return to ERO's GT7 League after a bit of a hiatus. As drivers are going to be setting their first time around the track. And Rob Cripps has set a 129.837 as we see Matthew pass around the penultimate corner, also known as turn 9. This track only having 10 turns, very famously, otherwise, because it needed to have 10 turns, otherwise it would not be allowed to be on the the F1 circuit calendar thing. I'm tired. With Paul Hutchinson going fastest for the moment, Matthew going a bit wide to turn 1 there, Panos sitting at 133, Remco sitting at 129. Matthew with a lot of Pokemon. I don't know why he's in the grass there. But a lot of Pokemon on his car. Currently up this time as Yeast has got any intelligence here to stay out of Matthew's way. Just to avoid the lag. As we see Peter Sush, who was racing in turns in Tier 2. Starting his second lap, as he's at a 131.733. Remco at the moment, fastest driver of all of them at a 129.084. And Aaron Hyland, who didn't get a chance to race this week or last week in Tier 2 due to work commitments, is going to be racing this evening. And he goes P11 with a 131.5. Excuse me. Remco still the fastest man on the track. And is going even faster now with a purple Sector 2, over a tenth up on his time. As he approaches turn 8 now, tricky downhill, a lot of uphill and downhill corners in this track, which changes to camber. Can lead to very difficult braking zones. As now you set to 129.5, half a second off Remco, and Remco's going to set a 129.1. He lost a lot of time there in that last corner, unfortunately for them. So, Niggs, who was very dominant in Tier 2 as well until Diogo Valente decided to stick his nose in it, has gone provisionally P2 at the moment. As he dives into bits. Paul Hutchinson, just under half a second away, just over 4 tenths away from Remco at the moment. As now drivers are going to be changing the tyres, not refueling for their final attempts as we've got 3.5 minutes left in qualifying. currently sitting in P5 as he's come out now of the bits on his new fresh set of softs. Matty Alfield in P6 at the moment. Kalle Pukkanen, everyone's favourite Finn, currently in P7. The Mercedes car not having a very good way of it at the moment. Crystal in P9 as well, he's not having his way of it. It just seems to be all Remco at the moment. Remco and Paul. So, Crystal now going P1 as I was texting my phone by just over 2 tenths. Remco now down to P2. Panos in P3. Panos really making his mark here in his return to GT7 on a Wednesday night against another penalty. Kalle up to P4, great showing from him. Next on to P5. Business stuck down to P6. As everybody's going to be scrambling for the line now with just over a minute to go in qualifying. As now we have 40 seconds left in the Red Bull ring for qualifying in Tier 1. Round 7, and at the moment Macaulay Beard leads the championship just by a sliver. Just by a mere 3 points separates himself and the business duck, Mr. Paul Hutchinson. Thanks to our fantastic standing editor Diogo Valente, who's done a great job this season. Really made a professional looking outfit here. Great stuff from him. Thank you so much for everything you do for ERO. James Wigan, who's not racing tonight, is currently in P3 with 89 points. East is 104 and Paul is 101. Next in is Rob with 85 points. After that is Remco with 84. Anyway, Paul marginally up in his time. Crystal looks to have gone even faster as he's setting his next flying lap now. Kalle up to P2. He's making his charge as well. And Calle's done for qualifying. Remco with half a second penalty. That's going to be his qualifying session done. Yeast with half a second as well. That's going to be his qualifying session done as well. So is there anybody actually setting a time? I think Panos is on a hot lap there at the moment. Porsche looks relatively stable under their braking. As we were high in the Austrian mountains in Spielberg, as Rob sets a 129.492, is a bit of a wobble there. There's a little bit of a wobble there from Panos. Let's see Rem going to the back as Matthew goes even faster now with a 129.6. But it's the Crystal Show at the moment. As Panos goes a bit wide there at the end. And he gets a half-second penalty for his troubles, so it doesn't improve. Business Duck has managed to stick it into P2, and it's only 26 thousandths off Jean. Anyone else left to set a lap? It does not look like it, as Nick stated. It's going to be all she wrote for qualifying, folks. So just to round it out, Jean P1, Paul P2, Calais P3, Remco P4, Panos P5, Macaulay in P6, Philip in P7, Jason in P8, Rob in P9, Matty in P10, Matthew in P11, Peter in P12, Aaron in P13, and Paul in P14. 20 laps coming right up. And it is 5 red lights, and we're away racing as Business Duck has had an absolute nightmare, and that's put Remco up to P3 already. Calais gotten ahead there, and P1 going into turn 1. Everyone seems to be okay so far. No chaos just of yet. A lot of bumping there, but nothing too serious. Rob down to P7, Yeast into P6, Philip in P5. Panos down to P4 now, and he's going to be very, very close to the back of Remco and Crystal here. Going down 2 turns up to turn 3. Calais Puckett leading the way at the moment here. Everyone's still looking to be relatively safe. No chaos just yet. You see Paul Hutchinson going over the curb at turn 2, and it's all gone on wrong now as Business Duck's been spun around. Matthew onto the grass. And this is the problem with this track, that if you lose the car, Calais leading the way so far, halfway through lap 1, or 2/3 of the way through lap 1, just like great stuff from him. John in P2, Remco in P3, Panos in P4, Yeast up 1 position up to P5. As nobody's really making a move yet, just by the looks of it. Paul with a bit of catching up to do now, unfortunately. See them all crossing the line for lap 2 up 20. Panos having a little luck there, Remco, but electing not to make anything foolish at this point. It's a real ride on board with Mr. Nicolaitis as he goes up the hill up to turn 3. As Remco is going to consider a move against Crystal. Crystal goes very wide. Calais goes. I think Calais broke very early or something, which caused a bit of chaos there. Everyone managed to keep the positions that they were actually in. Very well done there. I'm not sure what happened. That was strange. As Yeast now arriving onto the scene as well. And the top 5 separated by just over a second. This is great stuff. Already 2 laps in. We're having very, very close racing. No one running away with it at this point. Calais managing to hold on to P1 at the moment. See Peter and Philip battling it out for P6, the 2 Tier 2 drivers. Rob Cripps currently in P8 has a bit of catching up to do. Aaron Highland, but already with a penalty. That's no good as Mackey's going to get past him for T9. Oh, just actually gained a second and a half of the leaders in that last lap. For that unfortunate lap 1 incident in turn 3. Calais still leading 3 laps in. Oh, what's going on there now? Oh, it's just a bit of desync. That looked very bad from my screen. Now, Crystal and Calais. Last week it was Crystal and Panos, this week it's Crystal and Calais. Crystal pulling away from Remco ever so slightly, and Remco pulling away from Panos. Here comes Yeast on Panos. Yeast not giving Panos a lot of room there. Kind of squeezed him, but anyway. Looks to be all relatively good here as Panos coming right back Yeast now. Yeast now kind of going off the track to keep the position. These two squabbling here, and as they squabble, the drivers ahead of them will gain time. And Panos going to be right there going into turn 8. Or is it 9? 2. It's 9. He's going to have to remain behind Mazda just for now. But here again looks to have gotten another good exit. He's trying to break the toe with a defensive move on the straight. Panos looking but electing not to make the move again. Panos saying the purple sector 1. Further up the field, Calais still leading the way, but not by a whole lot. Remco on the softs, everyone else apart from Peter on the mediums, and Aaron as well. These two fighting away. The top 3 are very close to each other now. Less than half a second separating them. As Remco looking to make a move here, but Crystal not giving him a lot of space. That's fine though. Not a lot of space, but just enough space. As Crystal kind of compromises himself, unfortunately for him, on the exit at, I think it's turn 7 there. But he's managed to keep the position. It's a real drag race down to turn 9 now. With the German leading the way against the Dutch man. Calais loving this though because he gets to just fly off into the sunset. He's having a bit of a wobble out of turn 10, but he's dropped Panos as well. Currently fastest man on the track is Macaulay Beard in the 130.2s. We're going to stay up the front up here because I think Crystal's got a better exit at a turn 1 than Remco, and he's going to be pushing away. Remco now setting a purple sector 1 with that slipstream. It's been all wrong for these two at the back here, Rob and Paul. Paul gaining on Rob here into turn 9. He's going to go side by side with him. Wasn't the cleanest overtake of the world. It wasn't the cleanest of turn 10s either. All's fair in love and war between them two, as Calais has a half a second penalty now. That's going to be disastrous for him now. He's going to be very vulnerable to the drivers behind it. Hold on a second. Remco diving on the inside of turn 3 on Crystal, and he's going to slip ahead of him there. So Remco going to be looking to take the lead in this race now in just a few corners time. But here comes Crystal right back at Remco into turn 4. Still side by side, these two. Very, very good stuff from them. Calais is going to have this penalty. He's going to be forced to slow down. Unfortunately for him. He's led up all this way, up a quarter of the race so far. He's going to have a bit of catching up to do. Is he going to lose both positions? He probably is. He loses one. He doesn't lose the other though. But yeah, anyway. Calais down to P2, Remco up to P1. Game on between these three. He's waiting in the wings to capitalise on any mistakes. But now do we see Remco with a half a second penalty? Just as he's gotten the lead of the race. We're flying through turn 1. Easton Panos following in the distance. And we're keeping it down to be safe inside. As now Calais and Crystal drag racing down to turn 4. Calais is going to give it up for now, I think. Calais down to P3 at the moment, as Remco's doing a half second penalty now. Will that be enough for Crystal to overtake him? I'm not sure it will actually. I think Remco was pulled away enough. And you're kind of fortunate on this track because where the penalty is, you're going straight into a corner about maybe what, a few hundred feet afterwards. So it's not the worst. It's not like some tracks where if you get a half a second penalty, like Trial Mountain for example, you lose about 4 seconds, or Deep Forest, sorry, you lose about 3 seconds. Just because it's on a massive, massive straight. Whereas on this track, it's not the end of the world. You still lose a lot of time, but like not as other tracks. As Remco having a wobble at a turn 1 there, and that's really compromised him with Jean waiting in the wings to capitalise. And Crystal looking to get past here. Is he going to make a move into turn 3? Is he going to dive in? Alex Nota stays behind, or does he? As Remco goes a bit deep. As a result of that, Crystal up to P1. Calais now for a second away from Crystal and nearly a second away from Remco. Yeast is hunting Calais down, closing in on his prey. Where is our championship rival? Mr. Paul Hutchinson all the way down to P11 at the moment. He's not having the best of races. He's battling Rob Cripps like crazy at the moment. As you see, Paul Cross off the track in turn 3. So Remco's still staying close, he's not with Crystal. He has to kind of stay behind now for a little while as his softs are getting cooked. Remco just over 30, a third of the tank left in fuel. He's going to try and stick it out for at least 1 or 2 more laps. And then pit for the fresh mediums. Will he try and undercut is the question. As I expect the medium runners to pit around lap 12. Go to the end on the softs. Grip is going to be a bit of an issue now for Remco. He's going to set a purple sector 1, so grip's obviously not that much of an issue. He almost goes into the back of Jean there. Callaway another half a second penalty, and he's got yeast and Panos breathing down his neck, unfortunately for him. Callaway started so strong on this race, just tumbling down at the moment, but hopefully can bring it back. Remco now setting purple sectors, purple sector 1 and a purple sector 2. Is he going to set the fastest lap of the race on these scrubbed softs? That's all going to happen here. As I think Callaway's after getting another penalty. This has gone past him as a result. Now Panos waiting in the wings as well. As Remco having a bit of a wobble there out of turn 1. Oh, looks like Callaway does have another penalty, unfortunately. Struggling on the track that Esteban Ocon has famously struggled on, as now Panos checking out Callaway there into turn 3. Nothing comes of it this time, but the top 5 are really in a race of their own at the moment. Business Duck is up to P9 after that disastrous turn, lap 1, turn 3 incident. Our championship rival to Mr. East. Hasn't really gained much time to those in front of him. He's actually lost about 5 seconds since the incident. Rob now is a half a second penalty. It's not really been his day at the office either so far, but the Mercedes just isn't in the car for this track. And there Crystal is 2 seconds clear of Remco. Is Remco again struggling in that turn 1? And now his tyres must be absolutely scrubbed at this point. Callaway down to P5 after that unfortunate half second penalty. Panos up to P4. You can see the car being a bit unsteady there, under braking. It's taking so much curb. Just on a slightly better exit, is it? No. That's Remco now with a half second penalty. That's going to be putting him under pressure from Yeast. Remco has had a great... since the update happened in this game, Remco has been a different driver. From being a middle of the pack driver, now he's up the front, fighting for a podium, fighting for wins. Might be fighting for the win today. Great stuff from him. It's nice to see drivers improve, because I remember when Remco first joined the league, wasn't as quick as he is now. Now he's a different kettle of fish altogether. He suffers that half second penalty, and Yeast is closing in. Yeast really closing in. Remco into the pits though. He hasn't got a penalty for that as he touches the grass. The game saves in there ever so slightly. First of our drivers to pit today. Has he left it a wee bit too long? That's the question. Now Callaway with a 1 second penalty. It's just going from bad to worse for our Finnish compatriot. Panos up to P3 as Remco has pit. Yeast up to P2. Panos now setting a purple sector 1 as he begins to close down on the Englishman. Matthew up to P6, as we see, Callaway does have a world second penalty. Matthew up to P6 in his Porsche. I can't tell what's going on with Matthew's internet. So on those fresh set of mediums, what can he do now towards the end of the race as we enter into the second half now, really? As Jeebus exiting the pits. Crystal now into the pits. Does Yeast follow suit? No, Yeast elects to stay another lap longer. His mediums aren't too scrubbed. Just a question of Fiona. Panos into the pits as well. Calais into the pits as well. So Yeast electing to go long. Will that pay off for him is the question. So Paul is likely to stay at one more lap to see what he can do. Seems to be gaining time on Yeast though. Remco with another half a second penalty. So Panos with a 3-second penalty, must have cut the pit exit. Naughty, naughty, that's going to be a big one now. That's going to really bring Calais back into the fold. It's Panos and Remco fighting it side by side into turn 7, or turn 6, whatever it is. 6, 5, 7. One of them as they're exiting sector 2 now, both going to be with big penalties here. Panos' one there is huge, that's a big penalty there. And here comes Calais zooming. Oh, Calais also got half a second. So Mr. Nice now up to P6, and he's done some scrub mediums, he's going to be entering the pits. He's finally into the pits now. Sticking on the softs, he didn't really use that much fuel up. Crystal into P1. Is Remco going to come out ahead of him? I don't think he is. He's going to be the softer and fresher tyres towards the end of this race. Laps to go as we enter into the final quarter of this race now, where there isn't really a lot to separate these drivers. I know the deltas are big, but there still isn't really that separating. Just over 12.5 seconds separating P1 to P5. Jason Booner, he's been quite quiet all race. He's closing in on Calais. It's Calais in P5, Panos in P4, Renko P3, Macaulay in P2, Jean P1. Further down the field, we can see Matthew. Someone is having a big wobble there around turn 9 or 10, is it? Matty outfield. Rob has really had a race to forget. Peter down in P12 with Paul and Aaron by the wayside. But staying up the top, Crystal 4 seconds clear now. Fastest man on track being Panos Nikolaitis, as he's recently set the fastest lap of the race for 1:28.732. So maybe the race comes towards Renko towards the final, maybe lap or two. Maybe the mediums might be faster then. But at the moment, it's all softs, and Crystal is 4 seconds clear nearly of the pack behind. Great pace from him in his Lightning McQueen inspired livery car. As Remco with a half a second penalty now, and is that going to let Panos get past him? Everyone seems to really be extending the track as much as possible on the exit of turn 10, and that's compromising people. Jason Booner having the race in P6 at the moment, and he's been closely followed by Philip Rainford in P7. Now over 4 seconds is the gap between P1 and P2. So just 4 laps to go now, and it's all coming down to this. Crystal 4.5 seconds ahead. Yeast with a 1 second penalty. Panos and Remco fighting after Remco got a half-second penalty. Well, I don't think Yeast is going to be caught because of the 1 second penalty, but it is going to bring these two drivers right back into it. Calais kind of on his own race at the moment. See here, how much does this affect the Englishman? This is going through sector 2 at the moment. This is Crystal's race to lose now. That is for certain. You see now. He's kind of beginning to be a no man's land. As Panos will begin to close in. As we see that gap probably get under 2 seconds now at some point here. No. It's going to stay around where it is. Okay, fair enough. Now just 3 laps to go here, and he is setting a purple sector 1, but Crystal is setting the fastest lap of the race just a few laps ago. Panos having a great last 2 races, it must be said. He's fighting for a podium here tonight. Last Wednesday he was fighting for the win and managed to win actually in the end. Remco Smith is not going to give this up just yet. He's closing into turn 4. No move made just yet, but the move is going to be coming, I think, at this rate. These are squabbling away, and I think those mediums are definitely faster now than the softs. As you can just see, Panos understeering like crazy on the exit of 6 there. 7 into 8 as you go here. Both drivers taking a lot of curve there, mid-corner. turn 9. Boosts the car ever so slightly. Does that compromise it by time-wise? It doesn't really actually. He gained a tiny bit of time as a result of that. And through turn 10, Remco keeping the car on the track, no penalty that time. It hasn't gained any time either. Looking up the field, the gap is now 5 seconds between Crystal and East. Calais with a 1 second penalty, but that's not going to make much of a difference at this point in time. As we are going to be starting the final lap now, as we ride on board with Mr. Jean Goring. 5 seconds is the lead. Into turn 1 he goes for the last time. There's a bit of a wobble in turn 1 actually, truth be told. It's not going to make a massive difference here. He's also 5 seconds clear of P3. However, this is the real battle here, as Remco and Panos fighting away for that final spot on the podium. Which driver is going to come on top? Is it going to be the Greek man? Is it going to be the Dutch man? As Remco saying it fastest sector 1 at all drivers here. Bit of a wobble there at turn 3 it looks like. He's gaining time on Panos. Is he going to look to make a move? I don't think he's going to be close enough. Thinks about it. Is very close to the back of Panos though, and I think that line he took has actually compromised him. But he is gaining, and gaining. There's a bit of a wobble there on the exit of 6. But he's 2/10 up on his time. That's going to be close to a PB, is it? No. But it will be Jean Goring as he crosses around turn 10. It will be his day. He'll finish P1. It's his race to lose. Macaulay Beard will take P2 to extend his lead in the championship. And these two are going to be racing right to the line. Panos Nikolaitis in P3. 2 races, 2 podiums for him. Remco Smith will have to take P4. Calais Buchanan in P5. With Philip Rainford in P6, Matthew Wrightson in his return to GT7 Racing turns P7, Jason Bruner in P8, Paul Hutchinson, not a great day at the office for the championship contender, he's finishing P9, Rob is going to spin around P11, with Matty Hatfield taking the position off him at the line. Peter Slush will finish P12, and Paul Cross will finish 13, and Aaron Hyland will finish P14. Great stuff there from all. Just to get the final confirmation of the standings. Crystal, Yeast, Panos round out our podium finishers. Then Remco, Calais, Philip, Matthew, Jason, Paul, Matty, Rob, Peter, Paul and Aaron. Well done to everybody. And tune in next week where we are back racing. I think it's Le Mans time. Thank you very much for watching on your Wednesday evening. Have a good rest of your working week.